Sí, gracias a todos. Good evening, all. Please rise for the Muhlenberg Township Board of Commissioners meeting Monday, March 18, 2024. We'll rise for a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Good evening, Marcy. We did have an executive session for the board meeting before tonight's meeting to discuss various personnel matters. Nothing under public presentation, correct, Jim?
Correct.
Correct. All right, we'll move on to the first public portion. Time for residents or taxpayers of township to comment on matters that are before the board. Do you have anyone sign in there? Mr. Goff? Okay, Ms. Lunsford, Nate, if you'd like to come up. 816 Swellen Drive, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I stand before you, January 28th. There was an unfortunate incident where there was a shooting in the parking lot, near my house. I live 816 Swellen Drive, right in VA, and, two of the bullets hit my house. One went through my wife's office, the other one went into my fence. Luckily, nobody was hurt. I guess I came tonight and I kind of just wanted to formally, tell you guys that I thought the cops did a phenomenal job. We were really happy with how thorough, everybody was. I spoke with commissioners, 2 commissioners came to my house. And, I really appreciate that. And, I've been told that the park will have lights, going up into the parking lot and possibly some cameras. So we just want to make sure that this doesn't happen again, obviously. And, like I said, the next day, cops were at the park, still thoroughly investigating. I know you guys check cameras, door cams and all that stuff. So, it was unfortunate. I talked to neighbors, and in 30 years, that obviously has never happened. And, I guess, as a resident, and I'm sure everybody in this room wants to make sure something like that never happens again, and like I said, luckily, it's during the championship football game, so I was watching football, and, my wife's not watching football. She's upstairs in the laundry. Like I said, nobody got hurt, and that's the most important thing, but, we just want to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore in the township or anywhere in the house. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Tate. Just so you know, actually, after that incident, and I'll let Commissioner Lurch respond. We had a couple incidents like this in the community as of late, and that with your house and your situation really stimulated what can we do to be as preventative as possible. So Kevin, Commissioner Lurch, like to comment on the meeting we had with the chief and Mr. Bobek kind of on a future plan. I know the chief's already working on some long range planning, but.
Yeah, I met with Commissioner Malinowski and Jim and the chief. We talked about that incident in particular, but we talked about just the crime rate in the township, and proximity to the city and what drives some of the crime that we see and what types of steps can we take to keep it from getting any worse. So we are, we're right next to the city, and unfortunately, everybody knows that crime tends to kind of move out. I actually spent a full shift, working side by side with one of our platoons. Did some drive time with them, actually talked to the officers to kind of see what they do and how they handle some incidences day in, day out. From the meeting that we had, there's a couple of things that are taking place immediately. We are getting license plate readers installed at major locations throughout the township. So we can capture license plates coming in and out of entry points, so that when we have incidents like this, we can kind of take a look and see, okay, who's coming in and out. You know, if something happened at a particular time, and they'll be operational, Joey shortly, working out some IT kinks with it, but, you know, that'll be going up shortly. The chief and I have had numerous meetings after the initial meeting that we had. You know, we're looking at staffing overall. You know, I think everybody agrees that we probably could use more officers, and we have to understand what that looks like, not just from a budget standpoint, but how do we use the officers if, you know, if we increase our staff, and how do we fundamentally use them differently to kind of isolate the types of crimes that we're seeing, and where we want to tailor the responses that we have, and we want to be more proactive. So the chief is also working on that. I saw the preliminary staffing report. It is very comprehensive. It would be a phased approach probably over the next 5 years. So there's a number of things that we're doing. You know, I wish I could sit here and say that, you know, any action that we take is going to prevent things like this from happening in the future. I think we can stem some of it. And, you know, the chief and I talked at length that, you know, the steps that you take to try to prevent crime will prevent crime. But it's hard to measure that because, you know, no criminal's gonna call and say, you know, I didn't come to Muhlenberg today because you guys have a higher police presence, or you added lights in a parking lot at a park. But we'll be able to see that the kind of numbers that we have on the reports that we get, we are a very busy department. Our location, the types of businesses that we have, unfortunately, you know, bring certain elements into the township that we don't want. But by admitting, or not, but by discussing this in public and letting people know that we are taking these types of steps, hopefully the word gets out that, you know, we won't tolerate this, and we're gonna do our utmost to bring criminals to justice. And we want to do more preventive type of work. So, you know, we have license plate readers in some of our police vehicles, and we want to be able to take action on those things. You know, so we can pull people over and find out what's going on. And, you know, again, that word kind of gets out, and hopefully that element moves someplace else. We do a really good job. Unfortunately, this was just an incident I think is reflective of the times that we live in. You know, take a look at what happened in Sinking Spring, or in West Lawn. I mean, it's just, you know, people just have that mindset that they just don't care about neighborhoods, and they don't care about other people's property, or they don't value people's lives. But I think after the meeting that we had, you know, the board, Jim, the chief, our entire police force is, you know, we're doing everything we can to stay ahead of the issues. Chief, I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, yeah, just a little bit. No matter how many number of police officers we add to the force, as the commissioner said, there's in essence so much that we can do. But another prong to that approach is strong codes enforcement. And the police department, as far as I know, as far as back, has never had a better relationship than what we have now with codes. So we work hand in hand in addressing some of the just quality of life issues. So it's not just a law enforcement approach, it's a multi-tiered approach, you know, throughout the township on how we address neighborhoods, problems that are coming in at the same time. That's all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Nate, for the comment. I mean, this is such a passionate thing for me. From that area, we're seeing some of the stuff, and I think the school resource officers are gonna help that we have now, because unfortunately, a lot of it's kids. And we have some officers in the buildings now that can really fix it. I'm a big proponent of cameras and video surveillance. And I think there also is a missing part, and they do it very well in Lancaster, just because I'm there a lot, is they have a public-private partnership that funds their entire network of camera systems. Called the Lancaster Safety Coalition. Not saying that's what we should do. The last thing we want to do, just for my gratification of the public record, is sit here 5 years from now going, oh shit, now we're too late. Because that's what happens. And why Mr. Duncan, we invested so heavily into our codes department and under his leadership, because blight breeds crime. So we have to continue to contact our codes folks when we see, blight and how we fix that, so. I'm sure we could have several 6-hour-long meetings about this topic, but, we're doing everything we can try to do that. So thank you for coming, and thank God everyone's safe. Anybody else have anything? Good, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for the first public portion? All right. Moving on to, I need a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
Move. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Any unfinished business?
I guess I have something to say. I brought up a new topic last month about the backflow valves that are being placed in and help, and the MTA was helping to subsidize the cost. And I was taking a position that maybe we as the township should help pay for some of the fees. I have a letter here from MTA solicitor Tom Rockmall, basically stating that program was written to provide maximum reimbursement. That, in other words, the permits fees will be reimbursed to the homeowner. So as long as it remains in that $2,500 to $35,000 figure. So in other words, the money they get from the MTA will pay for the fees, and I'm gonna back up and withdraw my suggestion.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other further questions or comments? All right, we'll move on to new business. I need a motion to approve payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service.
Motion. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Noes if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to authorize the Public Works Superintendent to put the 2024 annual rental equipment project out to bid.
Make motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to authorize the President of the Board to execute a quick claim deed for a right-of-way on the Fifth Street Highway in the area of 4450 North Fifth Street.
So moved. Second.
Jim, real quick,
Yeah.
for the.
There is PennDOT discovered an old right-of-way in the name of Muhlenberg Township in the area of Manderbach property. There was also one up near the Chick-fil-A property back when that land development project was going on. And so nobody can say why or when the right-of-way exists, but we have no interest in a right-of-way on a state road. And so in order for the developer to continue with the highway permit application of PennDOT, they need that right-of-way extinguished.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to reduce the sheets number 226 LEP escrow to $23,075.
So moved.
Second.
Are they almost done?
So what we're holding now is the 15% contingency for shrubbery and lighting, and this, we're holding this now for the maintenance period of 18 months for the project. Yes.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to authorize the township manager to renew the mowing contract with PennDOT with an expiration date of December 31st, 2026.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to approve the revisions to the employee handbook.
Make motion. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to authorize the chief of police to purchase and outfit 2 police vehicles for a price not to exceed $140,000.
Discussion?
Move first. I'll move. Second.
Commissioner Wolverton?
Well, I had a long discussion with the chief today about, we have a truck here that we just purchased, doesn't have 1,000 miles on it. And, I'm concerned looking at our finances. It comes down to wants and needs. The capital fund has been drained over the years. If you take away the rainy day fund, we basically have $3 million in our fund. And we can't keep pulling money out of that without replacing it. And a tax increase for the general fund for how many years? 8. And something's gonna have to happen. I know we have a lot of expenses coming in here. Seems like we need to do a lot of things. We're gonna have a police contract coming up. We're gonna have the Teamsters contracts coming up, and we'll keep pulling money out and not replacing it. And it comes down to wants and needs. Talking to the chief, he gave a good argument. He basically said that the pickup would be a daily cruiser, that they would have it to use to pick up things, bicycles or whatever that they find. We have parks people, we have public works people who have trucks. If we need a new cruiser, I'm all for it. I'm all for the gun situation, probably that next. But I'm concerned about, having 2 pickup trucks now as police cars. I'd rather have an SUV. That's my personal opinion.
I talked to the chief, we talked about vehicles. I think my first opinion, when we talk about vehicles, probably aligned with you, Steve. But, as our policing needs change, the type of equipment that we have and use also changes. And I know that, if we were picking up a bike or something, it doesn't fit the back of an SUV, because there's a lot of equipment in the SUVs. I've seen that, but, to be able to call Public Works and say, all right, hey, Jeremy, pull somebody off a road detail to come and grab something and go get it. Sometimes we have the folks, sometimes we don't. The fact that we could use a pickup to help haul extra material around and still use, if we need to send it out on the road, it just gives us greater flexibility, I think, than what we have. So I'm in favor of the purchase.
Real quick, to Steve's point, you just said if we need a pickup to go pick up something, we do have one in the park, right? So with these 2 vehicles, would they both be trucks or just one of them a truck?
You're correct, we currently have a. Somebody. Sorry. I was like, what's that? We do currently have a pickup truck in our fleet. That pickup truck is going to be assigned to the supervisors. Again, it'll be a daily use vehicle. The supervisor's vehicle will be carrying a lot of extra other equipment that we cannot currently get into our SUVs. The second pickup truck primarily will also have those same benefits, but we currently do not have a vehicle to put any of our commercial vehicle inspection equipment in, all the scales, creepers, wheel chucks, etc. So that second pickup truck would still basically that purpose, but also be a daily patrol vehicle. The cost ratio between the SUV and the pickup truck is minimal and gives us that added ability. And as far as like picking stuff up during the day, road crew and the parks people have been great with doing that, but it's also larger items, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're gonna call out a road crew person to come pick up a bicycle. Where if we had that availability, we would have it right there.
So I will say, as long as it's a cruiser and it has the utility aspect, I think that's a good idea. It serves 2 purposes versus 1. I'd still like to see road crew involved, that you guys aren't taking barricades out, for an emergency. I still think road crew should be involved in that. So you shouldn't use that truck, I mean, I'm not gonna say you can't use the truck for that, but, you know, keep the road crew involved.
Sure, absolutely.
I only see one.
So there's only one proposal, there's only one cost estimate, because we only have one vehicle on a lot at this time, and that's the pickup truck. The authorization is to purchase the second vehicle. So what will happen is, because at this point, manufacturers are not building the vehicles to order anymore, we need to rely on finding one on a lot somewhere in the state of Pennsylvania that can sell under a CoStar state contract price. And so by getting the authorization now, that allows them to find that dealership. For example, the last two vehicles that we bought came from Pittsburgh. And so we did this exact same thing then. We got the authorization at one meeting, found the vehicles in Pittsburgh and said, we'll take them, gave them purchase orders, and didn't need to stall the process to wait for the next meeting to be able to get the authorization to purchase. So what the proposal that you see on the agenda now is for one pickup truck and one hybrid SUV. The balance of that cost will be for the hybrid SUV.
So then we're retiring some of the fleet, I would imagine.
Correct. Yeah, and the second pickup truck, so we're getting rid of our ambulance, which was major crime scene, carried a lot of equipment in it. But it's reached its life, term. And we also got rid of our prisoner transport van, which again, was predominantly carried all of our commercial equipment and everything else, and we don't have that vehicle either anymore. So we still have the ambulance, we're gonna be getting rid of that, but we already got rid of the prisoner transport van, I guess the end of last year, they went out for bids.
We repurpose any of that stuff or that?
Usually worn out.
Yeah.
Guys.
Any other questions or comments for the chief? So I have a motion and a second, and well, I guess I'll do a roll call vote, since I think that's some differences of opinion. We'll start with Commissioner Wolf,
Respectfully, no.
Commissioner Lurch.
Yes.
I'm a yes, also Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Cirillo.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item H, I need a motion to authorize the chief of police to put out bid to purchase new duty weapons.
Move. Second.
Chief, go ahead. Brief synopsis.
So again, the current firearms that we have. The current service weapons that we have are again at very close to their end of their life expectancy. In order to refurbish those weapons to bring them up to standard, the cost factor between basically paying for all of those upfit kits or those rebuilding kits versus the cost of the firearms, in addition to some concerns regarding the current make and model that we carry. Myself and the firearms instructors felt it was better to replace our firearms than try to correct and or rebuild the current firearms. It's also for purchasing some specialty rifles for the SROs for inside the school. And there again, we're going to be trading in at least outside of the handguns, an additional like 12 other weapons that are just unserviceable that we're probably not going to replace.
Thank you, chief. Oops. Thank you, chief. Any questions for the chief, comments?
Chief, can we still offer used weapons for sale to the officers?
Yes.
Okay, any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Noes, if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Any other new business?
Yeah, I'd like to report, as most of the public is aware of, the liaison to the First Municipal Partnership for the Center of Excellence in Local Government. at Albright. We had a meeting earlier this month. At that meeting, one of the things that we talked about was funding and staffing EMS services across the county. And then this also became a topic for presentation at the elected officials dinner that we had last week. Kind of the Commissioner Wolfinger's point about where we've been with taxes and not raising taxes for the most part for the last few years. You know, our township, one of the things that this board is going to need to look at, it's going to be a very difficult conversation, is, you know, how we staff for the safety of our residents. Obviously, we've already talked about, you know, things happening in the police world. You know, we would also need to seriously discuss EMS. And along with that, you know, we'll also have to continue discussing, you know, staffing of our fire department. It was a very interesting presentation that they made. You know, I'm just making the public aware that these are conversations that are going to be coming up, you know, at this year's budget. You know, obviously, we need to provide for the safety of our residents. You know, and there's going to be a lot of asks coming our way this year. A lot of departments are going to be looking at additional staffing and additional funding, and, you know, to provide for the safety of the residents, everything from police to fire, EMS, you know, and then that even goes to public works and codes and making sure that we have staffing in our customer service department. You know, I'm just kind of putting it out there. It's going to be a lot of difficult discussions, a lot of facts to look over this year. So it was a very interesting meeting. Just want to make sure that the public is aware that, you know, that's on our radar, to make sure that we are doing what we need to do, what we can do, to provide the safety of all of you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
There's some new business.
Go right ahead.
Last week, our very own Karen Schreiber was honored by the Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Society and awarded the Outstanding Achievement Award by that organization for many years of service and working with parks throughout Pennsylvania. And she spent the last 20 years here at Muhlenberg, making Muhlenberg parks better, improving the community access to the parks and different programs. For 10 years, I've been saying that Muhlenberg parks are second to none in Berks County. And, you know, parks are nice. You can have 1,000 acres of parks, but yeah, it's great for deer hunting. You know, but unless you have somebody organizing what's going on in those parks, the community really doesn't benefit by it. Like we have been benefiting by the number of things that have been going on with Riverfest, and you name all the things that we have here in Muhlenberg. So I'd like to personally acknowledge Karen and thank her for her involvement with the parks, and congratulations on her year.
Thank you.
All right, and let's just leave that as a public portion. Seeing none, we'll move on to staff comments. Chief, since you're sitting out there, I'll go to this, the other chief.
Two things to note, this month. So February, call volume was 71 calls for the month, a slow month for us, great for the community, less emergency. It's great for our volunteers to kind of have a little bit of a break after the busy, 2023, all the year. Another thing to note, in the next week or so, we'll be officially advertising 2 spots for a career firefighter. So that'll be kind of hitting social media channel, township website here in the near future. Other than that, that's all I have.
Chief. Anything else?
I think it's been well covered. We are gonna be also testing May 4th. Our list for candidates had expired due to the hiring. So we're gonna be retesting it in April.
Thank you. Karen, congratulations.
Thank you. Kelly and I did attend the Pennsylvania Recreation Park Society Conference last week, Tuesday through Friday. Kelly did a nice job networking with people, so it was nice to see, attended some good sessions, so, thanks for allowing us to do that. Our programs are starting for the year. On Saturday is our children's egg hunt. Hopefully it can be outside, weather is a little questionable at this point, but, it'll be inside if it's inclement weather. And then our adult egg hunt in the dark will happen on Tuesday at 7 p.m. out of Jim Dietrich's farm.
Thank you. Mr. Dunkel.
No comment.
Joseph.
Nothing this one.
Jeremy.
This one.
So,
Just a reminder to residents that the trash bill is due on March 29th.
thank you. Jim.
We have a planning commission meeting on Wednesday. We will be discussing a project at the corner of Fifth Street and Eastport Ave.
Commissioner, you're up first.
Yeah, spring is on its way. I don't think any spring is. Tomorrow? It felt more like spring yesterday, but anyway, thank you all for coming out today. That's all I have.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, Chief, I see you sat down and talked about the night out. With your,
Yes,
did your water company get involved in that? They would like to get involved in this year.
yes, Tim was in.
Okay. That's good. Plus you had dogs, you said you bring.
Correct. Yeah. Historically, he is a member of, I think it's Middle Creek not wildlife, either, search and rescue. So they have canines with their units, so they always create canines. So,
Mr. Lurch was saying about EMS, I was at the same thing. It's unreal. When people don't realize EMS don't get paid anything. $12,000, $20,000. Person come and save your life, get paid that much. Go to McDonald's, get more than that. That's why people have to do stuff with EMS out there. It's a shame. When they're listening to that kind of stuff, guess it. People are in some states that they set cars to pick people up now. Oh, people just call ambulance for the heck of it. Uber, that pick people up. It's a shame what's going on. I heard an ambulance, different township. They say Berks County's pretty good right now, but we jump ahead of the game. Muhlenberg, with the 0.2%, so that's a good thing. The ambulance and they fired a couple. And the fire's higher now. Just hope we just keep ahead of the game.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just real quick one on top of all that, because I had a meeting the day after the township meeting, and I know the first place township code, I think the max is $500,000, right? But they were saying, oh, you just fund it out of the general fund. Well, then why would they have it in the code like that? Is that what you're stating, Gus? Did you know?
Yeah, it's not supposed to, it's supposed to be separated.
Okay, that's what I thought, but, friends from the county were saying, well, you could just use general fund money. I didn't think you really were supposed to do that.
I think you can to some degree, like, so, for example, fuel costs, we pay for, their fuel costs and, media hits and items like that.
I think the Commissioner Lurch's point, to everybody's point, is the state has to make sure they enact legislation that doesn't limit municipalities to offer assistance. So they have that in there for a reason, right? Are the boroughs and supervisors restricted too?
Yeah, they are. I'm not sure off the top of my head on what the restriction is, but everyone's restricted in some capacity.
I don't know that team. Yeah, meeting.
There was discussion about the funding and, there was discussion about insurance payments, and I don't want to take this way off topic here, but one of the issues is that the insurance lobby is a very strong lobby. And we all know that if you call an ambulance and the bill goes to your insurance company for transportation, and the insurance company pays a very small portion of whatever the actual invoice was from the ambulance association. And that's problem A. because they're not paying what's being billed. And the B part of that is that a lot of those checks, the insurance checks are coming straight to the person who was transported or actually called for the service. It does not go to the service provider. And in many instances, people get that check and then they don't turn money over to the ambulance association. So, you know, they kind of discuss that, well, this is a big issue, we don't think this is gonna be solved. Like, okay, well, I take an issue with that. I think that our state government needs to step up because they're starting to recognize that this is a real problem. The second part of the problem was, another facet of the issue is, to Commissioner Malinowski's point, is who funds ambulance associations? How much are you allowed to tax for ambulance associations? And if, for instance, Muhlenberg is providing financial assistance to our ambulance association, but neighboring communities are not funding anything, well, does that really mean that Muhlenberg residents are funding somebody else's ambulance services? Same kind of discussions we had with fire. And, you know, I'm playing devil's advocate and saying, well, if we're gonna fund an ambulance association and a neighboring community isn't, then we're not gonna send our ambulance out there. Well, you can't do that because you have to offer mutual aid. So that's a whole nother topic. So there's a lot of moving parts to this issue, about funding. I think to, Commissioner Hopkins' point, I think we're a little ahead of the curve in Muhlenberg because we've taken steps to address both fire and EMS. You know, can we do more? We probably can, but again, it's part of a bigger picture. So there'll be a lot of discussion on this, leading up to budget time, I'm sure.
It's almost, hopefully, our friends at the state government don't turn it into state police coverage. That's where it's going, right? Where you have to go out to the neighboring people who don't have to pay for a police department. So hopefully, we're all smart enough to learn that we better fix it right now.
Yeah.
So we're not, you know, having to go through the whole, because it's the same model, it's the same thing that's happening. Anyway, like Commissioner said, it's a whole other topic and a whole other conversation, but, Commissioner Wolfinger, you're next.
I talk too much as it is, but I would defer to the director of the ambulance. Jody's here, nice to see you tonight. You tidbit you want to add to the conversation?
I could talk for hours.
We don't want. But it's nice to see you here, and I know that I look at your finances every month, and it seems to me there's money going out more so than coming in. And we're watching it, and that's why you got part of that tax increase this year.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Sherrill.
Just want to thank Nate for coming in his kind words to the police department and the board. I know Nate personally for many years, and that was definitely a traumatic event for him, as it would be for anybody. So quick action was definitely, it went well. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just one last thing for my colleagues. I've been asked, because I just love meetings, to serve on the Pennsylvania Leagues of Cities Housing Task Force with numerous mayors across the Commonwealth. Whether you know or don't know, the state of Pennsylvania has a real serious housing problem that's significantly impacting economic development. You wouldn't know it over our way, Bill, right? That there was a housing problem, but the truth is, it's really impacting our ability to attract development across the state of Pennsylvania. So, they asked me to serve on that committee so I can report back to the board on things they're working with Blight and how to turn into community smart planning and comprehensive planning. So, I'll keep the board abreast of stuff that I learned through that meeting. So that's all I got. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next month.